Friday morning and possibly one of the biggest political weeks here in South Africa as we've been covering events as they've unfolded. I must say that this has been an unscripted week. You know, a lot of the times you find yourself kind of knowing what's coming up and you're able to prepare for it. Well, I don't think anybody could prepare for this week. Nobody can prepare for anything right now, but perhaps things can start now. And a lot of people, and I remember, I think it was during one of the press conferences that the Chief Whip Jackson and Tembo gave and said, you know what, we've delayed the State of the Nation enough now. South Africa needs to start. The calendar needs to start. And it's about to start this evening. So a little bit delayed, but nonetheless, here we are at the morning before the State of the Nation address. That'll be at 7 o'clock live, of course, broadcast right here on SABC 2 and Channel 404. And we look forward to bringing that to you as well as all of the events that unfold before that. But, you know, there's been a lot of activism in the last couple of years towards the Zuma presidency, and not only towards President Jacob Zuma, our former president. Remember that this has also been towards a lot of the people that he has surrounded himself with, and there is still a lot to be done, and many activists feeling that way. And I think when you say the word activist, the one face that springs to mind is that of Zackie Achmat, and he is my next guest here on Morning Live. It is so good to see you. Welcome.
Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, I must say. This morning has been a very uplifting moment for me. I haven't felt this way in years standing here. Yeah. How are you feeling, though? Because I know you feel a lot more than I do.
All I can say is relief from my shoulders is the most delightful feeling. But I think we all also feel a collective relief that we can get on with the real business of dismantling criminal networks, dismantling, actually dealing with issues. And so I want to congratulate the President Ramaphosa for being elected, and I really wish him well. I know all the difficulties that he has with having been in the cabinet, having known of all these things, Marikana and all that stuff. That's difficult for him, and he needs to help us with that. But most importantly, he's starting to clean up, and he deserves 100% support from everyone in cleaning up. He deserves 100% support when he addresses the question of poverty, injustice, inequality, spatial injustice, land, and so on. We have to support him on that. Yeah. If he does the right thing.
If he does the right thing. I can't help but notice your T-shirt, and particularly on the back, there's something that stands out for me quite a lot. Hashtag arrest Zuma.
Yes.
Your fight has never necessarily been only to see former President Jacob Zuma not being the president anymore, but you want this bigger. You want him behind bars.
Yeah. There are two questions. I think all of us in Unite Behind, which I'm part of, want to see a just and equal South Africa. But the first step towards that was to make sure that Zuma goes to jail. Because the critical thing for all of us is this should not happen again. And unless you get the top people, and here I'm talking not only of his Gupta gang, but his gang in Prasa, for instance, Roy Moodley, Arthur Fraser, Mackenzie Mabunda, people like Mtura Swats, the low-level ones, these people have looted to the extent that people fall off trains, they die on trains, security guards get shot and so on. So from that point of view, the critical thing for us is if Zuma doesn't go to jail, it will embolden people to continue stealing and looting. And it's not like, there was a lot of talk around the corruption at Gauteng, but it works. But if you look at the corruption at Prasa, it doesn't work. It is destroyed. It is, at the moment as we speak, there are 120,000 commuters who are stranded and have to go onto taxis and stuff like that. It costs a worker, a low-paid worker, 135 Rand for a monthly ticket, let's say from Khayelitsha, right? Which people can afford or just about afford. Now they pay 13 Rand one way on a taxi. Yeah. Some people pay 25 Rand one way on a taxi. So you imagine being a cleaner, an outsourced cleaner, a call center worker, a security guard, and people don't have any other means. So literally they have to decide how much food they buy or whether they get to work.
Yeah. So, I mean, when we talk about this, and I think that that's at the center of all your activism, it's not only just about, these state-owned enterprises and what's happening with the financial balance sheets and all of that. It is the lives of South Africans that have been adversely affected through all of this.
And that's what I really am sad about, is that the entire discourse that we've had has been around governance issues. Simple, just pure. Trying to make governance issues pure. Governance issues are never pure. Rule of law issues are never pure. They are infused with either inequality and injustice, or they're infused with justice. And when they infuse with injustice, as is the case with the capture of our state enterprises, or with Steinhoff, or with multi-choice, all these things, then poorer people suffer. It's the poorest people who suffer. People suffer declining wages, living standards, but most importantly, people's physical well-being and their mental well-being get destroyed as a consequence. And so, we in court against Prasa. We regrettably have to be in court against Prasa. But if you go to court against Prasa, the question is not whether the Director General did this or that only. The first question is whether someone falls off a train, whether a woman gets sexually assaulted on a train. That's the first question. So literally, I think Eskom, Prasa, our state-owned enterprises, as a block, it would be the single largest block in the economy, and would be is critical for economic growth, economic development, the training of a new bunch, a really great new bunch of black engineers, scientists, supported by additional young white scientists and engineers and so on. That's where we have to go. We cannot be in a situation where our state-owned enterprises are disjointed, disconnected, and run by criminal enterprises.
Zackie, we leave it there. I thank you for the work you do. Thank you for talking to us. I know that there's a long road ahead of you. And I think there's one thing that I've taken away from our interview, is that a healthy government equals a healthy nation. And that is what's important right now.
For Jacob Zuma?
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Zackie, thank you. Thanks very much for talking to us. I didn't expect anything less. I really didn't.